All right. What's going on, guys? This is obviously Jordan again from the Undergraduate Survival Guide. Today, I have one of my closest friends in Bristol, friend Brian, someone who's always been well ahead of the curve in terms of banking, career stuff, employability. Like, it's nice to have you on, man.
Thank you very much, Jordan. I appreciate this. Yeah, I'm excited to do this podcast. Let's start.
Let's go, man. Um, I can't lie. I was gonna ask you a bunch of stuff to do with like apps and stuff, but I touched on it literally like 2 seconds ago before the call about books.
Yeah.
Like, what are you reading at the moment? It's Homo Deus, right?
So I'm about to start a book called Homo Deus.
Homo Deus, yeah.
So what really got me into this book was the author's first book about. It's called Sapiens. It's quite a popular book. A lot of people have definitely read it, but it touches on so many aspects of life that we just don't know as just people, because it touches on the history of humans, but even before that, and just it makes you understand. It makes you understand how vast the world really is, and like just how humans have evolved over time, and what implications there are in the future. Um, so what really touched me about just the whole book was that there's just so many things that we humans just don't know in terms of just how we developed over time, but our advancements in technology, um, and just different things like medicine. But Homo Deus is all about the blurb says is a brief history of tomorrow. And it really strikes me because this is very relevant for now. In the book Sapiens, he touches on a lot of things about like how the human race could actually end in the future because of all these advancements in technology. So like there's implications about surveillance of people. He actually wrote an article on the FT recently about that. And I don't
Nice.
know, it's just really interesting just to know, like, just have an understanding of what could impact us as humans in the future. But yeah, Sapiens is definitely one of my favorite books that I've read in recent years. But yeah.
That's nuts. It's like I think Sapiens must have come out like 2010, right? It's definitely not a new book. So it's crazy how some of the things he touches on in the like with surveillance and that is still so prevalent today.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what really attracted me to like trying to read the next book of Homo Deus, which is talking about what could potentially be happening in the future. And yeah, it is really interesting, and just in terms of the things he touched about as well, on like as you said, surveillance, but also like how the human race could. So there's things in science that there's things in science that are quite hidden, like in terms of your health. So people he was talking about how if there's implications if in the future like medical medical people like they know your health status,
Yeah.
and they know what you're more vulnerable to, and if this starts becoming like a widespread thing where the whole government knows about this, it causes huge implications in terms of like selective selective breeding. It's just crazy. Like I don't know, that just made me really try to really understand like all the things that are just hidden to us in terms of like science and the government. But I mean, it's crazy at the moment, because it's quite like, as I said, it's quite interesting just to know like there's so many things in science that are hidden. So
Mm.
right now it's very relevant with coronavirus. But if say in the future that the government know which people are like very immune to different diseases, who have the healthiest bodies, who's genetically vulnerable to this disease or XYZ disease, and then this has caused huge implications in the future for like just society. But yeah, that's something that really struck me about that book, and how he like kind of just forecasting the future in that sense. But he has a very unique mind, and yeah, that's just a very interesting book for me, and I'm definitely going to read it. Probably.
Yeah. That's nuts, man. How did you like get into reading? I mean, I've always seen like CEOs and like successful people talk about reading 100 books a day, but like, how did you get into it?
I mean, I'm quite lucky because I think from an early age, I was like, kind of not forced, but I was taken to the library a few times when I was like, I say in primary school and at the start of secondary school. So I just started getting into reading, and I used to read. I don't know. I was a young kid at that point, and I was reading a lot of like fiction books. I think one that really struck out to me was obviously Harry Potter books, and that really no, that Harry Potter books are one of the best. It's one of the best books of all time, in my opinion. But I think that really cemented my ability to like just read and try to learn more. And gave me that it gave me that kind of mindset of being like curious, always trying to learn more. Um, but I do, yeah, I mean, that's essentially how I started getting into reading. So luckily I started reading at an early age, and it has helped me a lot, like just develop my knowledge of the overall world, just develop me as a person. But there was a time where I just stopped, like, there was a period where I didn't read as much. So I guess when I was in sixth form, obviously it was like crazy step up from secondary school. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so recently I did get back into reading. So last year I started getting back into it properly, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's really important in my opinion for anyone that wants to be successful. Just yeah, just because like you learn so much from different kinds of books. Um, and what really made me want to read more was just listen to different like interviews and podcasts with very successful people. And just the fact that they've read so much or read so many different things every day, just cemented that kind of mindset into me and made me want to like replicate that. So that's essentially how I'm just going to continue doing my reading regardless. Yeah. So that's why I've always been trying to learn more through reading, I guess.
Yeah, that's mad. I think I used to read a bit as a kid, but when my little brother came along, my mum would always read for us because I read Harry Potter as well, but
Yeah.
we couldn't both read at the same time. So mum was like, "Fine, I'll read, and you both listen." And I think that was like a tipping point for me because after that, I just stopped reading. I was either relying on mum or just watching movies. But I think I got really into it. It must have been year nine because one of my friends was using these big words like benevolent or like these words that I had no idea what they meant or sophisticated. I was like, how do you know these words? And he said to me like he's always reading books and he finds all these adjectives from different books and trying to understand what they mean. And
Yeah.
after that, I was like, I'm really dumb, Like there's so much knowledge to. Cause you can learn on your own, obviously, like, by normal experiences, but every book is another person's experience. You can just learn a whole life in a couple of hours at least.
No, I
And
mean, yeah, I
some
mean,
stuff
like,
is
I think
mad.
it's important. I think it's so important for any kid because, like, just, yeah, any kid that's wants to, like, just learn, because it helps a lot in every way in terms of, like, creativity, just imagination, creativity. And it did help me a lot through my, like, secondary school days. Uh, I put a lot of I guess I was like, I wasn't the, I'm trying to say this in like a decent way,
Not trying to get fired.
but, no, but I was like relatively, relatively, sorry, a high achiever in secondary school. Uh,
Okay.
and I do put a lot of down to like my mindset that I received from reading books from an early age. Just because it gave me that kind of understanding of how to, I guess, expand my knowledge and always seek to be curious and try to learn more, as much as possible. Um, so I do put that down to reading a lot. Just on it doesn't even have to be like, I didn't read a lot of non-fiction books. I read a lot of fiction books, but it gave me that kind of like creativity in my way of thinking. Um, and that's why I think it's so important for any kid, well, to like read from an early age because um, you don't get that kind of learning if you don't start at an early age, I believe. Um, Obviously that's not to say everyone who like does relatively well at that age has read or did start reading books, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think there is like a correlation, just because a lot of my friends or successful people that I've seen, they always told me that they have read so many books at that age. Like, and this is not just to say like I'm a big reader. I'm actually relative to them, I haven't read nowhere near as many books as these people, but I think a lot of it is down to reading for their relative intelligence and success. But yeah,
Mm.
it's not to say that it's just purely down to that. There was a lot of other factors. But yeah, I mean, that's what really cemented my kind of love for reading.
Yeah, that's mad. That's crazy. For me, I think I kind of compare reading to just learning in general. Like I've always seen school as not as important as people say it is, but education is invaluable. Like I used to bang out podcasts, even from a younger age, like startup podcasts, ways to change the world, how they made the millions, all these different stuff that a lot of them are like ex-TED speakers. And I guess you learn that a lot of TED speakers or TEDx speakers, I should say, are authors as well. But yeah, it really is crazy what you can learn from just in general.
For sure. Definitely. Um, yeah, I mean, what are your favorite books then? Like,
Me, I used to love, did you ever read the Alex Rider books?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I put a lot of that down to I put a lot of my creativity down to that book, that series of books. They were really good.
It was like, I saw the film Stormbreaker. I was like, this is okay, but let
Yeah.
me see like the actual core material. And I read the book. I was like, this is crazy. Something
Like,
mad.
so good. There was another like book series, like a vampire series. I don't know what it was called, but it was really good. I forgot what it's called exactly, but it was like a long series of like a, a boy that became a vampire. But it wasn't like those. I don't know. It was amazing. I need to find it. I need to find it. It was amazing. But
Was that by the same author?
potentially actually, uh, I need to check. I'll find it. And there was another one with like, what was that series called? Like Sheriff or something like that. Like Spy Kids.
Oh.
Yeah, it was such kiddie books. But man, looking back, I put a lot of that down to like put a lot of my creativity down to those books, man. Like they were
Yeah, trust.
amazing.
What was the other series that was popping off in school? Horrible Histories. Did you
Oh
ever read those?
yeah,
Or
man.
Goosebumps? Oh
Goosebumps. Yeah.
man,
I
I
suppose
got some good in my library.
I suppose Goosebumps you could actually like go to different pages, or was that a different kind of where you had to like make decisions by jumping to like page 81 or something? It was one of those.
Swear.
I think. Oh, it wasn't Goosebumps, was it? No, it was a different kind of like book that was very similar to Goosebumps, but you could jump to different pages and make different decisions, and that just blew my mind as a little kid. That just blew my mind. Like, you can change pages. You get to make different decisions. Oh my gosh.
I need to find that. That sounds sick.
Nah,
What the
man.
hell?
I mean,
That's
like, it's crazy.